Can I get your attention, Year 7s? Did you know that you're Year 7s now? Welcome to our Science, Year 7 Science and HAS class. We're going to be talking about a unit this term called Sky and People. My name's Russell, I'm your HAS teacher.
And your science teacher, yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take you for this lesson and the next few lessons on a journey of discovery and wonder. So what I want you to do first is, what's the name of this unit? Sky and People. I want you to, while we're talking about things, think about what do you think this means? What do you think you might want to learn about those words? And we'll have a bit of a talk about that later on in the lesson.
Okay, so
What do we
now
do
we want you to all gather together, just sit on the ground in a circle, face the screen, because we are going to do something interesting together. How do you rate?
I think I can do this for you. That's okay.
Great. Great. So what we are going to do now is to show you some picture, and you are going to brainstorm what you say and what you can think of. Then you are going to grab this cute little ball, then to speak out. Then after you give your answer, you get to choose which person you want to speak next to you. So now let's, remember, only the one who got the ball can speak, but I'm the exceptional. Okay, now let's see the first picture.
First picture?
Yeah. All right, what you say? Anyone? Sorry.
I see it's sun and clouds are pretty colours and contrast. And, I think the fun and I think clouds and contrast. And
Great.
that's
Let's
it.
focus on the song. Right, next picture.
We should have made it on a year 7.
Yeah. All right. How do you know it's a sunset or sunrise? You can throw it to anyone. They must answer.
Because it's a song.
Great. I know it's a song, but normally where would you see the sun in the sky? Above the clouds, maybe.
I know.
Throw it.
Sometimes when I go in aeroplanes, I see that, like that.
Okay, so in the morning, where you will see the sun?
In the sky.
Yeah. You'd see it to the east.
Great. So
Yeah,
in our
that's how you
class,
navigate.
In year 7.
yes, we already know that the sun will rise in the east and set in the west, right? So that's what we will see.
I also learned from Shanghai.
Okay, let's see the next
Can we go to the next
picture.
picture?
Yes. What's this? It's a wood and a tree and some leaves and a blue sky. Great, it's beautiful moon. But do you guys always see this beautiful moon?
At the full moon.
Oh, yeah.
They come once a month.
Great.
And sometimes werewolves come
That's a
on.
great
Oh, yeah.
I
So,
know, I'm scared. Oh my gosh.
is there any other kind of moons you have seen?
Sometimes there's no moon. I can't see the moon.
Okay.
So when it's fully blacked over.
Do you mean it's the cloud or there's just no moon at all?
When it's cloudless.
Yeah, what? What's that? It just
This is just what I
happens.
think.
Yeah. So is there any other shapes of moons you know?
Waxing, waning, present.
Well, you're brilliant.
Show off.
Sorry, I'm coming from a background of having to learn to navigate at night time. And yeah.
Yes. So
yeah.
you will see different shapes of moons, and do you always see that in the light like this, or any other times can you see the moon? During the daytime. Yeah, during the daytime. So that's a bit different from the sun, isn't it? you only see the sun during the daytime, but you can see the moon in the daytime, but also in the night. It's crazy. Yeah, but we will know that later. So let's move on to the next picture.
Oh, we're gonna skip that one.
What's this?
It's a lot of planets rotation.
Yeah, you are being ahead of. Okay, just let's throw that way.
I see Uranus at the end.
You got it, George.
The solar system, but it's not done accordingly. So recently, the solar system can't be in a picture altogether. Did you know about this science?
But when you were in the year 5, what you have already learned is the 8 planets and the sun, right? And we all only focus on this right now, and the whole solar system is like really huge. We cannot cover now all at once. It's gonna be too much. And does anyone know what the names of them?
So we heard about Uranus.
Yeah, Jupiter, Mars. You mean whole double. So that one is Venus. Always with that. You mean the one with the green? Saturn? Mars. Earth? Mars? Jupiter. You're an extra point.
Pluto doesn't exist as a planet anymore, and there's another one that's really out there that affects some stuff in the solar system that they haven't found yet, but the Sumerians know about it. So,
I'm sure you are in year 7.
Yes.
hey, it's
Yes.
really interesting.
Why can't we see the moon on there?
Because we don't put it there. It should be there, but we just didn't put it there because right now we're focused on the planets and the moon is not a planet. Yeah. Alright, okay, now let's move on. Where is the solar system? You
So-
guys know?
Thank you, Ms. Miller. What is this? Any ideas? Could be the universe. Oh, did somebody say stars? Stars. So which one's the stars? So many stars.
Galaxy.
So it's a galaxy, and a galaxy is a collection of stars. So many stars there, it looks like a cloud. And galaxies are pretty amazing, stars are pretty amazing. And what I want to talk to you about is about our Aboriginal culture, and that's really important in the school that we're in. Okay? Aboriginal culture is a really important part of your lives and the school. Turn to the next slide. So here is another picture of space. We've got the galaxy here, all these stars here on the middle. That's looking into the galaxy. And the stars are really important for Aboriginal Australians. They were the first to document the southern skies. So a lot of scientists, a lot of ancient scientists we think about in modern science were from Greece. Does anyone know where Greece is? In Europe, and Europe is in the northern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere they can't see a lot of the stars we can see, Australia. Some Aboriginal people are still using the stars to guide their gathering and hunting, and they also, it's very important for telling stories and passing on traditions from one generation to the next generation. Some of the early Indigenous astronomers looked at the stars and they looked at different patterns. They looked at the world that they saw around them, and they thought, okay, I can see kangaroos, I can see emus, I can see fish, I can see all these different animals, and the sky looked similar as well. So just as we might see a cross, the Southern Cross, has anyone heard of the Southern Cross? So the Southern Cross might be relevant to some people, but maybe wouldn't have been to the Aboriginal people. They wouldn't have seen a cross. Instead, they saw a canoe. And these tell us a lot more about the stories and the origins of life. So I've got another picture up here. What can you see in that picture? Anything that you can tell us?
A bird.
Bird. What an interesting observation. Well done.
Yeah.
Do you want to come up and show us where you can see the bird?
This is the body of the bird,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the neck. This is the head. Like
Well done. Awesome job. That's amazing. the really cool things about Aboriginal astronomy is that they use the dark parts of the sky to be able to see different shapes as well, not just where the stars were. Just like normally when we look at the stars, we think, oh, there's some stars and they make this shape. They thought about the dark parts too. So I'm going to tell you a story. There's the emu. Excellent. And if you're very, very close at sea, you can see the Southern Cross just here. That's the head. And it goes all the way across the sky. So I talked a little bit about Aboriginal storytelling. So stories are a really important way of passing down culture in Aboriginal society. So I'm going to tell you a story about this emu. This is called Jingle. And this is a story that's widespread across lots of different groups of Aboriginal people all around Australia, different cultures. So during the dreaming, there was a blind man and he lived with his wife in the bush. Every day he said to his wife, go out, I want you to go and hunt for emu eggs. So she'd go out, she wanted to please her husband, but he used to get really angry at her and the eggs are not big enough. So one day she went out hunting and she came across some really, really big emu tracks. And she thought of her husband and she thought, how am I going to get the eggs? I'll go and follow the tracks. And she found a big nest. And in the big nest, there was a huge emu. And she thought, oh, what am I going to do? So she got some rocks, she started throwing them at the emu. And do you think the emu was very happy? No, the emu was not very happy. So the emu killed her and she died. Very sad. So her blind husband, he was very hungry because he wasn't going to get the eggs by himself. So he was hungry, he couldn't see, so he felt around and tried to see if he could find some food. So he's feeling around and he finds a bush. The bush has got some berries on it. So he eats some berries and they're magic berries. He magically can see again. It's an amazing, amazing healing bush. And so then he thinks, where's my wife? I need to go and find my wife. How can I do that? How do you think he could find his wife?
Follow the emu track.
Follow the emu tracks. He followed her tracks. And then he found the emu tracks. He followed the emu tracks back to the nest. And he sees the emu. He sees his wife on the ground. And he thinks, I have to avenge her death. So he's got some spears. He throws them at the emu and kills the emu. He takes the eggs. And he banishes, for killing his wife, he banishes the emu up into the Milky Way galaxy to be up in the stars forever. And you can still sit together. I'll pass you back over to Miss Miller.
Yeah, so just like that, we want you to tell stories, but now I want you to find the peers and go back to your seat because you are going to put that together. It's not going to be too hard for you to just tell a story to yourself, right? Now go back to your seat and find the pair, then we're going to do the story together.
And it will help you if you can get a computer out for this story. If you've got a laptop, or if you've got a phone, that will be really good. If you don't, let me know, and we can give you some paper to work with.
So what you need right now is to go to the web page of the stellarium, and here's the, oops,
Let's go back.
what happened?
On the way.
Okay. Yes. So this is the address of the website. Go into there, and when you enter that page, you can choose whatever you want at the right bottom of that page. You can choose the light mode, the sky mode, and you can even choose different kinds of constellations. And you can drag the picture to choose the direction as well. And right now, we want you to try to find the pattern all by yourselves. Yes, Julie? It's not working. Are you sure? Not working. Check. Yeah, just this. Okay.
Yep, that's the
Yes,
one.
that's it.
So there should be.
Take the web out.
Is there a web?
Oh, right. I see how you do
That's
it.
right. You keep going, Miss Miller.
Yeah, take the wave out. I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Just don't put the wave in there.
Don't put the light, go to the dash.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe just the first part till the stereo.
Just one word.
Yeah. Okay. Can anyone get into that? Yeah.
There's a dash between the.
Yeah. Okay. don't put the last part. Just search this area.
So it's the right
Yes.
one.
Can you enter
So
that?
click on up here, find the
Thank you.
press loudspeaker.
Yeah, we're-
Just turn, let's skip this.
Yeah.
There are a whole bunch of buttons down here to move around. So what do they do?
So once you find your pattern, you are going to begin to think about the stories, how you are going to tell it. And we want you to content list the 3 things that you know are related to your life. Just like the original kids did, they tell the story related to their life and the hunting, the gathering for eggs and the berries and things like that. So just use your imagination and we will check in 5 minutes. You have 10 minutes to do this. Now, if you've got questions, just feel free to ask us. We'll be around.
Does everyone understand what they need to do?
Is
Don't
that
need to do
clear?
okay. So you need to, yes, come up with a story, and the story can be, it doesn't have to be a written story, it can be like a picture or a cartoon, anything like, something that shows things you know.
It's already been
Did you find the button down the bottom? There's one that says, maybe that one. In there. There's that one. Then you can see all of the That's cool stuff.
You can use the doors or you can use the gap space just like they do. It's not
So 3 things about our life. What does that
like what you know about the astronomy, you have already know, like you know the stars, you know the Mars, you know the.
Yeah, so if you see the, that's what it is.
Dragons.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you
So if you see, so you could come on the name, you can story, another way to tell it.
Then I was there doing something, then you can incorporate those stories as well.
Does it show up the constellation circle like this?
So if you click little hand at the start right here, you can see all constellations magically appear.
I've got a triangle here.
So have a look for a pattern that you might be interested in. That's a constellation right here.
There's a dolphin.
I have pointy nose and so it's like pointy, my pointy constellation.
How are you going to like make a story about it?
Yeah, it does,
Think
yeah,
about it.
absolutely.
And why
Yes, right here.
Yes.
How long does your story have?
It can be any length that you like, as long as it tells us 3 things that you know about astronomy, or 3 things related to your life.
It actually
Things to do with culture. Because we're all about culture.
We also have some paper, you know, you want to draw something on the paper. Yeah. That's fine. We only need 7 minutes. We only need 3 minutes to wrap up. Yeah, but we okay. Do you want something to draw up? There's also some stars that you can draw.
So you're not the, what's the shape? Right, so is that fish?
Yeah.
That's Pisces. Yeah, looks like it is. Yeah, so that map is what stars look like in sort of. So hopefully it will kind of match.
I know Kate.
So if a prime person in your mind, you always get that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you just make a story?
Okay.
No. I was talking about we let go of the kite and we lost it. And I'm doing a chameleon.
I can't see.
So the piece of paper might be able to help you. You can find Mars piece of paper. This is what starting like around now. So you found fish.
Yes.
So nicely
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes left. Everyone.
So we normally give you a lot longer students activities, but only 5 minutes left.
Yeah, it's a mini lesson, so sorry guys. 5 minutes?
Yeah, what
So that one's just in case you're but I can do it. So if you this is very starting time right now. So if you find that you find stars in here, you should be able to find planets. And then figure out the course
I know, I'm wrong. That wasn't me trying to do this. My brain was like, wow.
Try to think deeper. You need more people. Yes. Try to think more.
The brain hurt. Brain hurt.
We need to do our work.
I think it makes a story long.
Don't look
There's a
at
story going. I love
mine.
this. That's great.
It's just like a
That's not key. That's about
What I learned to navigate like studying in the army, so like what's taught to navigate like summers in the army. So
yeah, we were
yeah. It's not
like taking it back.
like the southern
You must do drawings.
yeah. So you can navigate
So there's something that you, I believe you are knowledge of astronomy experts. You look at picture you know about.
Well, I know because the ship kites are close to the sun and
Oh, that's great. So that's the starting story.
yeah, got it.
So one day. Know the weather.
Yeah. But in the one
Ready? 1 minute. Are we sharing? Yeah, we're sharing. Holy, finish it. Holy,
That's great. That's what all of that basically. Get some of your knowledge into it too.
Oh,
this story.
Like
it? Yeah, please.
This is great. Over here. Done super well. Three things.
Okay, ready?
Wonderful.
Who want to share first? Yeah,
We better get everyone's attention.
Are you ready? Are you ready for Julie's story? Julie?
My mum only eats fish. She's a pescatarian, which is funny because she's also a Pisces. Pisces is close to Mars, which is among the stars.
Wow,
I don't want the squishy.
I can hear fish, cookies, and Mars. That's what Julie have learned in her life and previous classes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so next story, who wants to share? Right?
I found a goat in the sky.
Yes.
It's called the Lucas. And when I was a kid, and I live in a mountain, I learned a lot of skill about animal, how to care animal. And as soon as I can see the goat in the sky, the star, I know it's time for the goat to give birth to baby.
Wow.
So that night, we always stay up to wait for the the baby come out and help them to give birth.
That's amazing. And you'll find a lot in our lesson that we're going to be learning about these sorts of stories and what they're used for. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Next
so
group.
we found a kite in the sky near Mars called Sculptor, and my favourite movie is Mary Poppins, and my grandfather was also a chimney sweep, so it relates. And when one day I was flying my kite and the wind took it at the beach and it flew into the sky and it got too close to the sun and exploded.
It's a sad story.
It's a sad story about my kite, but my grandfather is still alive.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. So you mentioned your grandfather, the kite, and the fact that if you get too close to the sun, it can be so hot and the can just explode.
There's no
right?
chance.
Yeah, and we keep that in mind. We'll explore things like that more. Okay.
It's one of the last story.
You guys are very, very lovely. Let me say a twist story. So it's like, so we have a traditional Chinese Valentine's Day, which is 7th of July, according to the Chinese lunar year. And so there is a king in heaven. He got seven daughters. So one of the youngest we call is Little Seven, and she's really, free, looking for everything. So other sister, always very traditional. So she came all the way from heaven to the earth and meet a very, very cute guy. We call it Mr. Dog. And they fall in love with each other. There's a rule that they can't marry each other because she is a fairy in the sky. So they separate. So they suffer a lot, like Romeo and Juliet, they suffer a lot. So, but the mother and father will really get in touch with it by the love story. So they make. So there's only one day they can meet each other. That is 7th of July. So so on this day they're gonna to meet each other in heaven, and they're gonna have a bridge. They will meet each other on the bridge. So the bridge are made of the magpie. So,
It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for your sharing, Sophia. It's beautiful. Alright, so the last group, we need to give the
No, we need to give everyone
Yes.
that's fine.
So do you have a story to share? Even if it's a short one. don't
Okay.
worry.
Once there was a chameleon named Fred. He tried so hard to fit in all the time. He did it so well that when the people stepped on him, they didn't even know he was there, squished, and he blended into the concrete.
Wow, that's really short one. But great. Okay. Alright, so you have already done your activities and you have some ideas about what's going on in the last years and about the astronomies and everything. And back to the first question we asked you earlier, when you look at the topic, sky people, what do you think? Sky people, what do you expect to learn from this unit? Anyone tell me? Sky?
Storytelling.
Storytelling? Yeah, good one. Anything else?
Imagination.
Cultural perspectives.
Wow.
Cultural
Good one.
perspectives on the stars and stuff.
Yes. And remember, this is a science and has class, so there will definitely be something about science then and sky. That would be our astronomy. And the history and people, that would be history. Okay, so in our lesson, just like we showed the picture before, we will look into the astronomy from the Aboriginal people's perspective. And you can see in this picture, they even have the engravings, the pictures on the ground, that Aboriginal people come up with their own stories about astronomy. They use those creations like the pictures or engravings to guide them to tell the story, help them to remember where to hunt, when to hunt, and where to gather the food and everything. They incorporate their life into those. And it is said that Aboriginal Australian people have like 65,000 years old history. How do you know it's that old? Have you
Carbon
ever
dating.
think about? I'm sorry?
Carbon dating.
I'm dating.
That's one.
So it's like we use those pictures, engravings to trace back to those historic events.
Yeah, star positions as well.
Yes, that position as well, and the storytelling. So in our unit, we're going to learn a lot of things, and also we'll introduce that.
So we're going to be looking, really the key of what we're trying to do is find out the intersection between science, people, culture, and astronomy. So we're going to look at it from a science perspective. We're going to be looking at things like what are constellations, how do the moon phases work, how do the tides work, how do things like eclipses, all this phenomena work. But we're also interested in how things change over time and how we learn more. As we learn more about science, we learn more about people, how those stories change and how evidence can improve the way we understand science. So that could be things like the stories and the engravings. They could be, just like you were saying before about the radio dating, that's another way. And about looking at how timelines as well have influenced our understanding of science. Thank you very much.
So here's the uni map, and take that with you. Give you the idea what you're going to learn. Thank you.
Thanks for being so generous on the tour.